Jujutsu Kaisen is the manga that got me into reading manga. Before JJK, I had some run-ins with manga, like I had a One Piece omnibus or whatever, but I didn't really like to read. I mean, I only graduated like 6 years ago, and every day when I got home, I didn't want to do anything that even remotely reminded me of the hell that is high school. This was my Auschwitz. As a kid, I only read picture books, things like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Captain Underpants, and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. And in high school, the only thing that I was reading was the straight F's on my report card. That was until I became an adult, and I still didn't want to read. I was one of those anime watchers that refused to read the manga for any series, cause it just felt boring. Where's the music? Where's the colors? Where's Vincent Chansar? It just didn't feel like I was getting the full experience reading the manga. I say all of that to say, I was gaslit into reading JJK. That's right, gege akutami took advantage of me and robbed me of my innocence. This nigga literally popped out like Sukuna. The women, the children.
Women and children are crawling everywhere like maggots. How marvelous!
He was dead set on making sure that all of us were tortured by this damn story, and he succeeded. Jujutsu Kaisen is a very weird series. It's extremely hard to put my opinion on the series into words because it's very polarizing. In my opinion, the series has more lows than highs, but the highs are so incredibly high that you almost forget about the lows completely. When the first season came out, I didn't really understand the hype. I finished the series thinking that this was just a Naruto with a little bit more blood, and I don't necessarily like Naruto. Main character with a demon inside of him, check. A depressed black-haired deuteragonist that was estranged from his family, check. A white-haired sensei that has to cover his eyes because they hold some sort of crazy power, check. And also the story was pretty bare bones without too much going on in the first season. But then something happened. There was a great divide. Gege lied. Gojo died.
Liquor than fire.
This was the moment that convinced me that JJK might have been a little bit more than a surface level Naruto clone. Not to mention I got spoiled on this, so at this point I felt like I had to read the story to catch up before something else super crazy happened. So I read the manga from the end of season 1 all the way to the end of the series. And honestly, I enjoyed myself. You know, to an extent. Like I said, the series has more lows than highs, and the highs are so good, and the lows are honestly not that bad. But there's one low that ruins a lot of the series for me, and that's the ending. Oh look, another JJK hater with an internet connection. All they do is say that the series is bad just because they don't understand the themes and complex writing of my daddy Gege. Just because the ending didn't satisfy you doesn't mean the whole manga is bad. Well, first of all, why are you always in all of my videos? Like, how did you get in my house? You know what? Since you're here, let me teach you something. If you're flying a plane, right, and you don't stick the landing, there are a bunch of repercussions. Firstly, the person flying the plane is definitely gonna get fired and will never be able to fly another plane ever again. No matter how smooth the actual flight was, all the passengers are gonna say that the pilot is a terrible pilot because he couldn't land a plane. Gege is the pilot. And the crazy part is the entire flight wasn't smooth either. Like, there was mad turbulence and shit. Somebody went to go shit in the bathroom and they clogged it. Now nobody can use the bathroom. And the landing was so bad that a couple people in economy died horrible deaths. So yeah, I'm here to yap about that plane crash. Before I start this, make sure y'all subscribe and go in the comments to tell me if I'm tripping or not. You feel me? This is just my opinions, you know. Also, heavy spoilers for the end of JJK.
Can we get much higher? So high.
Let's start off with one of the biggest reasons for JJK's downfall, and that's Kenjaku. Kenjaku isn't a bad character. In fact, after his fight with Yuki and Choso, he was my favorite character in the manga. He was cool and powerful, and he came with a layer of mystery that Sukuna lacked. Not only that, but he's the one that holds all the answers to every question about Jujutsu Society. Like, he's the entire reason why the story even started. I fucked with him so heavy that I even wanted to cosplay him at DreamCon. Nah, Q, you wanted to cosplay as a nigga that willingly took back shots?
Hey yo, what the fuck?
The problem with Kenjaku is that he has all the answers, but he just never gives them to us. Imagine going to a restaurant and waiting 2 hours for them to bring you some shit like this. That waiter is getting hollow purple. That's what it feels like dealing with Kenjaku. He does a lot of things that seem to make sense as you're going through the story, but once the story comes to a close, all of these things cease to make sense because a lot of them never come to fruition. It just leaves us asking, what was the point of any of this? And I know Kenjaku does all the things that he does out of curiosity. He doesn't really have a deeper motive, and that's fine with me. I don't need a tragic backstory on how Kenjaku's dad was coming home every night drunk off that cursed Henny and he beats his child to the point where he becomes the most vile human being in existence. It's fine that Kenjaku does things because he wants to. I just want to understand what he's doing. For example, what is the cursed realm? This nigga used that shit once and it's never explained. He literally picks someone out of her bed and brings her to safety outside of the Culling Games barrier through the cursed realm. How did he do that? I don't know. Why can't anybody else do it? What the hell did he get the government involved for? That plotline went absolutely nowhere. What is his domain and whose domain is it? Is it Geto's or Kenjaku's? You know what? Matter of fact, how the fuck did Kenjaku get inside of Geto's body? The only explanation we get is that Gojo didn't properly dispose of his body, but what does that even mean? There's absolutely no way he just left the body laying right there, because Jujutsu High would have definitely picked it up. Maybe you could say that Gojo doesn't like the way dead bodies are handled at Jujutsu High, but that wouldn't make sense because this nigga brings Yuji right to Shoko when he dies. Wait a minute, Shoko! She's the head of autopsies and shit like that, but she's also Geto's friend? You don't think that if you gave the body to her that she would have done it justice and gave it a proper send-off? What did you do with the body? Is Gojo into necrophilia? That has to be the answer to this. And without answering any of our questions or being a major player in the final fight, he has a brain rot battle with Takaba and dies very unceremoniously. Good job, Gege.
Can we get much higher? So high.
The fact that the consequences to binding vows is never explained or shown to us is annoying as hell. It makes the story even more polarizing because some of the biggest plot lines in the story are contingent on binding vows. One thing about JJK is that the world and power system are more fleshed out and interesting than the characters, but still we don't have all the answers that we need about the world and power system. We never really seen how binding vows were actually set in stone in the first place. We don't even get a visual representation of when a binding vow is being made. It's just people talking to each other, which is kind of dry and anticlimactic. And I guess this would be fine if we knew what the consequences were, but we never seen anybody go through that. And it would have been cool if we could just assume that the consequence was death, but we can't even think that because the man who has all the answers ran his mouth and said it was something worse than death. Why did we even get these panels if it was never gonna be explained or expounded upon? One thing I noticed about Gege is that he is a setup demon. This motherfucker hates payoff with a passion. He has a habit of setting up plot lines and either not paying enough or just not paying it off at all. And bruh, Gege is knee deep in debt. Sukuna and Gojo spam binding vows at the end of the series, but we never know what the extent is, so it just kind of feels like they're pulling shit out of their ass to make what they're doing make sense. And when Sukuna evil laughs at the fact that Yuji didn't add himself to the people that Sukuna couldn't hurt during his binding vow, we, yes, you and me, don't care.
Can we get much higher?
The Tsumiki reveal was ass because we, yes, you and me, didn't care about Tsumiki in the slightest. And the reason why we didn't care about Tsumiki, and hold on to your hats because this is about to be the hottest take of the video, we didn't care about Megumi either. Like I said earlier, JJK's plot is more interesting than its characters. The only characters that I feel got the proper treatment and actually made me care about them were Yuji and Gojo. It's one thing to write a character that has actual personality, but it's another to write a character that people actually care about. And honestly, Megumi never does anything that actually makes me care about him. And also, I understand the potential man comment. Is all this foreshadowing for Megumi to be OD powerful, or for this nigga's final move to just be him creating a puddle of demon dog shit for Sukuna to step in. Also, Yorozu was so annoying. Worst character in JJK, honestly. She was just there so that Sukuna can cheat the judicial system. Like, this shit was kind of stupid. Like, Higuruma need Megan Thee Stallion lawyers.
Can we get
Now, I know what y'all think I'm gonna say, but on the contrary, I am not of the people that believe the merger should have happened. Like, there was no possible way it could have happened. All of our main characters had to die for that to happen, and we know that that was never gonna happen. I'm saying it happened so many times. I mean, it's common sense. What, y'all wanted Sukuna to fight a blob monster? For real? For real, my nigga? The problem with the merger is that it didn't actually seem like a threat at all. The merger is supposed to be a looming threat. It's supposed to create a sense of stress for the readers and a sense of urgency for the character. We have to stop Eren because if we don't, he'll activate the rumbling and kill us all. We have to stop the Sword Saint because if we don't, he'll release another malediction and kill us all. That's the looming threat. The reason why these work is because we know the person who has control over that threat can easily activate it. However, with Sukuna, that's not the case. You can't just activate the merger with the snap of a finger. He not only has to fight and kill his natural enemy, but he gotta do the same thing with the rest of Jujutsu High and like 90% of Japan? Not to mention Kenjaku reincarnated the most powerful sorcerers from back in the day, and Sukuna would have had to fight all of them. One gorilla versus 100 men. I'm sorry, wrong number. 123,802,000 men. Sukuna was never gonna be able to do this, which completely nullifies the threat of the merger. So when Sukuna is doing things like coughing up Tengen's embryo, I don't care, because I know that there's no way he's gonna pull this off. Listen, don't let their silence and how aloof they seem fool you. These mangaka are on Twitter and Reddit. They're all up in the communities and forums watching everything that y'all say and do. Yes, they see all the gay fan art that y'all make. I'm sure Gege had his fun with those. One of the most popular topics and reasons why I even started reading JJK was Gojo's death. There were so many theories on if he was really dead, and everybody analyzing and picking apart every single piece of JJK content that even came out. Just endless amounts of copium, and Gege Akutami was watching all of that. I'm here to tell y'all that Gege bamboozled y'all and laughed in your face. He made Yuta come back in Gojo's body specifically because he knew y'all wanted Gojo to come back. So he baited niggas with his weekly cliffhanger and tried to fool us into thinking that it was planned by weaving it into the theme. I know, because Yuta didn't achieve anything while he was inside of Gojo's body, and every single thing that he did was completely reset so that Todo and Yuji can keep fighting Sukuna how they were already doing it. He pulls up, tries to box with Sukuna, shoots a hollow purple, and then collapses. Then Sukuna hits a black flash and replenishes his RCT, which made the hollow purple the equivalent of a mosquito bite. And the way he pays this plotline off is so rage baity. He makes it seem like something is happening to Yuta, but nope, he's just getting yelled at by Maki, and he's already out of Gojo's body. On top of that, they barely even say anything about this Gojo thing anymore. Gege, why the hell would you play like this? And you didn't even turn it into something interesting. If you wanted to keep it on theme, just have Yuta die in Gojo's body because he chose to fully become a monster and disregard his humanity, so he pays the price for it. I don't know, man, just do something. Properly pay off your plot lines, please, Gege. All right, now before we get into the last thing that really pissed me off about this ending, let's do a rapid fire honorable mention. Why was Kenjaku's last fight with Takaba? This kind of seems like a waste. Why did Kenjaku lead Yuji's friend out the culling games? The culling games' whole purpose was to optimize curse energy and make those people who didn't have curse energy awaken their curse energy. Purposely taking somebody away from that equation seems to defeat the purpose. Why did Higuruma's domain take away Kamutoke and not Sukuna's curse technique if Kamutoke does not have its own curse technique? Why didn't Maki go inside the domain with Yuta instead of Yuji? She wouldn't get hit by any sure hit effect, so Yuta would be able to fully focus on Sukuna and not have to edit his domain. And if Yuji was in Maki's position, then when the domain dispersed, his soul shaking punch would have done way more damage than the soul splitting katana. How the hell did Todo pull this shit off? How did Inumaki use his curse technique on Sukuna? Yeah, like I understand that he coughed up blood, but that's not enough. Sukuna has like 100 times more cursed energy than him. He should be dead. What is Yuji's domain expansion and how the hell does it work? Why doesn't it have a name? How is Megumi not on the spectrum after taking multiple infinite voids to the head? What happened to the plotline of Geto taking back his body from Kenjaku? Why does Yuji barely have any interaction with Kenjaku and that nigga literally made him? Whew, that was a lot. But this right here was the final nail in the coffin for JJK's ending. And you see what I did there? You see what I mean, you go see what I did. You see what I did there? One thing that really grinds my gears with shonen manga is how they handle death. Characters have plot armor that save them from situations that they definitely should have died in. And on the flip side, when a character dies, it feels like nobody cares because the other characters don't grieve properly. One death that I actually really liked was Nanami's. Nanami's backstory was already my favorite, only second to Gojo, because even though it was mundane, it was a relatable, heartfelt story. Choosing this life because even though he has a higher risk of death, he'd rather do something that he likes more than working a boring job for the rest of his life and then just dying. Dying on the battlefield while thinking about retirement is an excellent and thematically beautiful way for Nanami to exit the series. Nobara getting bitch slapped by Mahito though, not so much. And they also messed up Nanami's death anyway, because after he dies, nobody grieves him, like not even once. The way that Nobara's death was handled was terrible. Nobara is part of the main team, yet it feels feels like her death was just brushed off in favor of action and the plot staying mysterious. Not Yuji nor Megumi are ever seen grieving her death, so nobody cared. It seemed like she was just forgotten. The moments directly after her death, Yuji's breakdown and Toto's speech, peak fiction. But the fact that after this she became an afterthought is just a gut punch, bro. The weirdest thing is that Gojo wasn't even informed of this. He gets out of the prison realm and nobody feels the need to inform him like, yeah, you know, one of your students just died. I mean, of course she wasn't actually dead, but if that's the case, then why didn't we have anybody, maybe Yuji or Megumi or Maki or Panda, somebody? Why didn't nobody check on her while she was in stasis? I think the worst part about it is that her death was left ambiguous. If we had just confirmed that she was alive but just knocked out and might not ever wake up, that would have been one thing. But nah, we just know nothing about her fate until there's 5 chapters left. And on top of that, the way that this was handled opens the door for even more questions. Like, why didn't Mahito just kill her? He had every reason to. She was his natural enemy. He was trying to push Yuji to his limit. That's why he popped Nanami like a bottle of Ace of Spades. Why didn't he just do that to Nobara? I literally had to look it up on Google, like, why didn't Mahito kill Nobara? And they said that it was because of his plan to push Yuji to his limit. But that wouldn't make sense, because if Toto and this guy from Bleach didn't immediately show up, then Nobara would have just died anyway. And to think that Nobara woke up from a 2-month coma and is immediately able to hit a resonance on Sukuna, it's fucking ridiculous. I don't give a fuck about a binding vow or whatever. This is an ass pull right here. Either way, all the drop plot lines, things like the ass pulls, so many questions. It just made Jujutsu Kaisen's ending a very disappointing experience. Series had potential. I mean, like, I was about to call this nigga Go-Go. Gege had everything that he needed to successfully land this plane, and in my opinion, he failed, bro. He failed. He fumbled that bag. But yeah, man, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video so much, man. Make sure y'all subscribe. Like the video if you like it. Dislike the video if you dislike it. I don't care. And please, you know, share your opinions on the ending of JJK. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with me? And yeah, that's about it, man. Woo, damn, I was pissed, man. This video got me sweating and shit. I'm sweating and shit.